My ex posted a video mocking me after our breakup, so I posted the truth with screenshots and let the internet destroy her brand. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I used to date a woman who built her entire life around social media. Her name was Ava. To the world, she was the kind of person everyone admired. Stylish, confident, authentic. The kind of influencer who could make even a cup of coffee look cinematic. I met her at a local charity event where she was filming a vlog about giving back. I wasn't really into that scene, but she approached me first, smiling like she already knew she could make me part of her story. We hit it off almost instantly. She was funny, flirtatious, and said she liked that I was different from the guys she usually met. When she found out I worked in marketing, she joked, "Perfect, you can help me with my brand." I thought she was kidding. Turns out she wasn't. Within weeks, I was showing up in her videos, helping her set up shots, holding lights, carrying equipment. But I didn't mind. Honestly, I felt lucky. It felt like being invited into a world where everything was beautiful and full of purpose. Ava had this magnetic energy. When she talked, everyone listened. And when the camera was on, she transformed. Her voice softer, her laugh perfectly timed. I'd never met someone so driven. She'd stay up past midnight editing footage, chasing perfection frame by frame. I admired that. Maybe even envied it a little. Before I realized it, our relationship wasn't just ours anymore. It belonged to the internet. We became Chichu couple goals. Every date was photographed, every milestone turned into content. Strangers told us how perfect we looked together. Sponsors started sending her free vacations, clothes, and products labeled for both of us. It all looked flawless online. But what I didn't know then was that perfection came with a price. And soon, I'd learned that in Ava's world, love wasn't shared, it was curated. At first, I told myself the constant filming was just part of dating an influencer. But the longer we were together, the more I realized our relationship only existed when the camera was rolling. When the lens wasn't pointed at her, Ava was different, colder, quieter. She didn't look at me the same way she did through her phone screen. It started with small things, retakes of affectionate moments that didn't look authentic enough. "Smile more," she'd whisper through clenched teeth during a photo shoot. "You look miserable." I'd laugh it off, thinking she was just stressed, but then she'd scroll through photos of us, sigh, and say, "You're just not very photogenic. Maybe we'll use filters." The words stung, but she said them so casually that I felt guilty for being hurt. Our dates stopped being spontaneous. Everything had to be content-worthy. If the lighting wasn't perfect, she'd get upset. If the restaurant was too noisy for filming, we'd leave. I remember one night, I surprised her with dinner at a small Italian place I loved. She frowned at the dim lighting and said, "How am I supposed to film this?" I watched her pack up her phone, disappointed like I'd ruined the evening. When I finally suggested we take a weekend off social media, her expression changed completely. "You don't get it?" she snapped. "This is my job, my life. Without it, I'm nothing." The words hung heavy between us. That night, she uploaded a post captioned, "Sometimes people just don't support your dreams." The comments were filled with sympathy. "You deserve better." "Cut toxic people out." I read every single one, realizing they were talking about me. And for the first time, I wondered if I was in love with Ava, or just a character she created for her followers. The next few months felt like living inside a performance I never agreed to be part of. Every argument, every apology, every intimate moment, it all had an invisible audience. Ava started filming behind the scenes of our relationship videos, and I noticed how she carefully edited out her harshness, keeping only the parts where she looked vulnerable or sweet. I was just the background, her supporting actor in a story she controlled. Things really started to unravel when she began collaborating with other influencers, mostly guys. At first I didn't care. I told myself it was just business. But then I saw the flirty captions, the staged couple challenge videos, and the way she'd lean into them for the camera. I remember confronting her one evening after she posted a TikTok where another guy lifted her up playfully. "Ava, do you think that's appropriate?" I asked quietly. She didn't even look up from her phone. "You're jealous. That's not a good look for you." "I'm not jealous," I said. "I just don't like being humiliated in front of 500,000 people." She laughed, short and sharp. "Then maybe don't date someone successful." That sentence hit harder than I expected. Success. That's all this had become to her. Not love, not partnership, just metrics and engagement. I started to pull back. I stopped appearing in her videos, stopped helping her film. But she noticed. Of course she did. One night, she locked herself in the bathroom, crying loudly enough for her microphone to catch it, and uploaded a clip titled, "When the Person You Love Changes on You." I watched it from the living room, realizing she was turning me into a villain. By the next morning, her followers were calling me controlling, manipulative, even abusive. And the scariest part, Ava didn't correct a single one of them. After that video, I decided I couldn't live in her spotlight anymore. I packed a small suitcase, told her I needed space, and moved into my friend's apartment across town. Ava didn't cry. She didn't even try to stop me. She just stared at me with that unreadable influencer smile and said, "You'll regret walking away from this." At the time, I thought she meant the relationship. I didn't realize she meant the image. For the first week, I stayed offline. No posts, no replies, no stories. I thought silence would protect me. But Ava knew exactly how to weaponize an audience. It started subtly. Cryptic tweets about recovering from emotional abuse. Instagram stories about finding peace after manipulation. No names, just vague hints. But her followers didn't need names. They already had a villain picked out. Me. The messages started trickling in first. "You're disgusting. How could you treat her like that?" Then came the comments on my work page. My boss called me in one morning, concern written all over his face. "We've gotten complaints," he said softly. "People saying you harassed your ex. We know it's probably nonsense, but maybe lay low for a while." That's when it hit me. She wasn't just venting. She was rewriting the story. I opened her profile that night and found a perfectly staged post. Her sitting on a balcony, wrapped in a blanket, eyes puffy from fake tears, captioned, "Healing from the ones who tried to break me." Thousands of likes. Tens of thousands of comments telling her how brave she was. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with notifications I didn't want to read. Friends unfollowed me. Collaborators backed out of projects. I tried to tell myself it would blow over, but deep down, I knew Ava wasn't done yet, and she was about to take things to a level I couldn't ignore. It happened on a Sunday morning. My phone started vibrating non-stop. Calls, texts, notifications stacking faster than I could clear them. When I finally checked, I froze. Ava had uploaded a 22-minute YouTube video titled, "The Truth About My Ex." The thumbnail showed her crying, mascara streaked, wrapped in that same blanket she used for her healing post. I clicked, praying it wasn't as bad as it looked, but it was worse. In the video, Ava painted me as a monster. She talked about months of emotional manipulation, walking on eggshells, and finally escaping a toxic man. Between sobs, she played audio clips of our arguments, edited, of course, to make her look like the victim. She showed screenshots of our texts, cropped and filtered to remove her side of the conversation. "He told me I'd be nothing without him," she cried into the camera. The comment section exploded instantly. Tens of thousands of people comforting her, calling me names I'd never imagined seeing attached to mine. By noon, the video was trending. By evening, my inbox was full of threats. Someone even found my workplace's social media and left one-star reviews. My boss texted, "We need to talk tomorrow." I sat there staring at the screen, numb. I could recognize my own voice in her proof, but every sentence was twisted. It was like watching my life turned into a movie I didn't consent to. I called Ava, but she didn't answer. Instead, she posted a story. "Abusers never apologize. They just try to silence you." That line broke something in me. For the first time, I realized silence wasn't protecting me. It was destroying me. I'd spent weeks trying to be the bigger person, hoping the truth would surface on its own. But when millions of people are watching a lie, The truth has to fight back. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat on my couch replaying Ava's video again and again, dissecting every lie, every manufactured tear. It was surreal seeing her weaponize our private moments for views. I could hear my own voice in those clips, but chopped, rearranged, made to sound cruel. The worst part? She knew exactly what she was doing. She'd spent years mastering emotional manipulation, both online and off. I opened my old text threads with her, thousands of messages. I scrolled through them for hours, reliving everything. Our late-night talks, the voice memos, the arguments. That's when I found it. A voice memo she'd sent one night after a few glasses of wine. In it, she laughed and said, "You know what's crazy? Sad stories go viral. People love seeing women cry. It sells empathy." I sat there frozen, listening again just to be sure. She had literally admitted to faking vulnerability for views. That's when something inside me shifted. For weeks, I'd been her silent punching bag, too afraid to defend myself. But now, I had proof. Not just proof that I wasn't the villain, but that she was building her empire on lies. I reached out to one of my close friends, Daniel, a small-time YouTuber who'd always told me, "If you ever need help, I got you." When I sent him the memo, he called immediately. "Dude," he said, disbelief in his voice. This changes everything." For the first time in months, I felt something other than helplessness. I felt purpose. We agreed to meet the next morning. I'd show him everything. The screenshots, the full texts, the unedited recordings. We weren't going to attack her with hate or drama. We were going to show the truth, calmly, clearly, completely, because if Ava built her fame on lies, then maybe it was time the truth went viral too. The next morning, Daniel showed up with his laptop, a hard drive, and a look of determination I hadn't seen since college. We spread everything out on the table, texts, screenshots, voice notes, videos. I wanted to make sure that when the truth came out, it would be undeniable. No editing tricks, no emotional manipulation, just facts. Daniel sifted through everything like a forensic investigator. "You realize," he said, "this isn't just defending yourself. This is exposing an entire act. We worked for 2 days straight. Every message was time-stamped, every clip verified. I screen-recorded conversations showing how Ava begged me to fake arguments for relatable couple content. One message stuck out. She'd written, 'If we break up, at least it'll make great material.' I remembered laughing it off back then. Now, it felt like foreshadowing for the nightmare she'd turned into reality. At one point, I hesitated. What if this ruins her? I asked quietly. I don't want to destroy her life. Daniel looked up from the screen. She had no problem destroying yours. He was right. My reputation, my career, my sanity, they were already collateral damage in her quest for sympathy clicks. I wasn't seeking revenge. I just wanted to breathe again without being branded a monster. We decided to title the video, "Setting the Record Straight." No dramatics, no insults, just my face on camera reading the truth. I opened by saying, "This isn't about hate, it's about clarity." Then I walked viewers through every piece of evidence, showing the full conversations Ava had cropped. I played her voice memo, unedited, where she joked about crying for content. When I hit upload, my hands were shaking. The video went live at midnight. For the first few hours, it was quiet. Then comments started trickling in, people asking questions, checking timestamps, realizing something didn't add up in Ava's story. By sunrise, the truth had a pulse, and by that evening, it had a heartbeat strong enough to echo across the internet. By the next morning, my video was everywhere. It started small. Reddit threads, a few reaction channels breaking down the evidence. But once people started comparing timestamps and matching the full text to Ava's edited ones, the narrative cracked open. Viewers realized she'd cropped out entire sentences, reversed context, even spliced audio clips together. The internet did what it does best. It investigated. Within 24 hours, hashtags like ATT, Ava Exposed, and EEC's Truth Matters were trending. Screenshots of her voice memo, Her laughing about fake crying spread like wildfire. People reposted side-by-side comparisons of her clips versus mine, with comments like, "She didn't just lie, she scripted abuse." Influencer drama channels jumped in, dissecting everything, and even journalists began covering the story. I sat in silence, watching it all unfold, a strange mix of relief and disbelief washing over me. For weeks I'd been buried under hate. Now, the same internet that once crucified me was tearing her story apart, piece by piece. Ava stayed quiet at first. No posts, no comments, but her fans, at least the ones who felt betrayed, started turning on her fast. Sponsors paused their partnerships, and her management team quietly removed her from their website. Daniel called me late that night, laughing softly. "You did it, man. You actually did it." But I didn't feel victorious. Just exhausted. The comment sections were brutal, calling her a fraud, a manipulator, a scam artist. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. Still, the truth had finally broken free. I clicked on one of her old videos, months of curated perfection, and saw the dislike bar flood red before my eyes. The top comment read, "Funny how the victim turned out to be the director." That's when I knew this wasn't just about clearing my name anymore. It was about showing how fragile fake perfection really is. 3 days after my video went viral, Ava finally broke her silence. I woke up to a new upload notification from her channel. My truth and my apology. The thumbnail showed her sitting in a dimly lit room, face bare, tears glistening under soft lighting. I hesitated, but curiosity won. I pressed play. She started with a shaky breath. "I've been struggling with my mental health," she said. "I made mistakes. I said things out of pain." Her voice trembled at all the right moments. To the untrained eye, it might have looked sincere, but I could hear it, the same performative cadence she used whenever she wanted sympathy. She apologized to her followers, to anyone who felt misled, but not once did she say my name. Not once did she take responsibility for the lies that nearly destroyed my life. Halfway through, she shifted blame to internet pressure, saying the fame made her lose herself. The comment section was split, some people forgiving, others furious. But most could tell this wasn't accountability. It was damage control. That night she messaged me. Her first words since the breakup, "Ava, can we talk? Please. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Me, "You accused me of things that could have ruined my career." Ava, "I panicked. It got out of hand. Please, can you take down your video? It's destroying me." I stared at her messages for a long time. There was no remorse, just desperation. I typed slowly, "I'm not deleting the truth." Then I blocked her. Over the next few days, sponsors dropped her. Brands pulled campaigns. Her subscriber count fell by tens of thousands. She tried posting upbeat content again, but every comment section was a war zone. For the first time since all this began, she wasn't in control of the narrative. But even as her empire crumbled, I couldn't feel joy. Just a heavy, strange silence, because revenge hadn't fixed anything yet. It had only revealed how deep the scars really went. As the weeks passed, the noise around Ava's downfall slowly shifted to something new. Me. Not in the hateful way it once had been, but in an entirely different light. People started revisiting my old posts, realizing how carefully she'd twisted everything. Comments poured in. "I can't believe I believed her. You handled this better than I ever could. Thank you for showing what real accountability looks like." It felt strange. For months, I'd been the villain of her story. Now, I was being painted as the hero of mine. But I didn't feel like one. I still had anxiety every time my phone buzzed. I still flinched when I saw a camera. The internet had cleared my name, but it had also changed me. Daniel encouraged me to speak out, maybe do interviews or podcasts. "People need to hear the truth from you directly," he said. But I refused. "I didn't post my video to go viral," I told him. "I just wanted to stop drowning." Eventually, I started receiving messages from people who'd been through similar situations. Partners who'd been slandered, manipulated, or publicly humiliated online. They told me my story gave them the courage to defend themselves, too. For the first time, I realized something good might actually come out of all this chaos. Then, one morning, a journalist reached out from a major publication. They wanted to do a piece on digital accountability and influencer culture. I declined the interview, but I thanked them for shedding light on it. I wasn't interested in fame anymore. I wanted peace. When I finally looked at Ava's page again, it was almost empty. Videos deleted, posts gone, followers silent. The empire she built on filters and half-truths had finally collapsed under the weight of the real world. And for the first time in a long time, I could breathe again. A few months passed before I really began to feel like myself again. I went back to work, quietly rebuilding the trust I'd lost. My boss, who had once asked me to lay low, stopped by my desk one day and said, "You handled that entire mess with more professionalism than most PR teams could have." It felt like closure, small, quiet, but real. Then something unexpected happened. One morning, I got an email from a major media agency, ironically, one of the same companies that used to sponsor Ava. The subject line read, "Opportunity, Social Ethics Consulting." They wanted to hire me to help brands evaluate influencer partnerships, to spot red flags before another Ava incident could happen. I read it twice, hardly believing it. I took the job, not out of spite, but because it felt poetic. The same industry that once chewed me up now wanted me to help make it better. During my first meeting, someone said, "We don't just want views anymore. We want integrity." I smiled quietly to myself. Maybe something good really had come from all this. A few weeks later, I heard through a mutual contact that Ava had tried to rebrand under a new name, a fresh start. She launched a new account with a slightly altered appearance, but her voice gave her away. Within days, internet sleuths exposed her again, and the cycle ended before it began. She vanished after that. No posts, no stories, nothing. I didn't feel angry or triumphant. Just done. Whatever connection we once had was long gone, replaced by a strange kind of empathy. Ava wasn't evil. She was addicted to attention, validation, control. And in some ways I realized I'd been addicted too, just to her approval. But now, the only thing I wanted to go viral was peace. Months later, I sat in front of my camera for the first time since everything ended. Not for damage control, not to expose anyone, but to finally speak on my own terms. I titled the video, "What I Learned After Being Cancelled." No clickbait, no fancy editing, just me in my apartment, with sunlight streaming through the window. I started by saying, "If you're watching this expecting drama, you won't find it here. What you'll find is perspective." My voice trembled at first, but it steadied as I spoke. I talked about how easy it is to lose yourself online, to confuse validation with love, to turn pain into content, to mistake followers for friends. I didn't mention Ava's name once. I didn't have to. Everyone already knew. I explained that what happened taught me 3 things. 1, silence doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes it's just preparation. 2, the truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs time. And 3, if you let someone else tell your story, they'll always make themselves the hero. When I finished recording, I didn't even check the analytics. I uploaded it, closed my laptop, and stepped outside. The air felt cleaner somehow, lighter. I walked through the park where Ava and I once filmed couple content, and for the first time, it felt real. Just wind, trees, and the sound of life happening without filters. Days later, the video went viral, not for scandal but for sincerity. Comment after comment read things like, "This is what growth looks like," and, "Finally, honesty on this app." That night, I smiled to myself as I scrolled through the responses. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally moved on. She built a brand on lies. I rebuilt my life on truth, and this time, I didn't need the internet's approval to feel free.